Thanks for your patience with this one, guys. Some of you reached out. I know a lot of you guys, like me, have been playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 all weekend, and it's really, really good. I put a lot of work into the before you buy video on Game Ranks, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. If you did, thank you. It means a lot to me. I'm gonna try not to repeat myself here. I do have a lot more to say, and I also have some like tips and tricks if you want to beat your friends, because this is one of the few games I'm actually competent at, and I've been playing pretty consistently and pretty regularly since the beginning of the series, which makes me feel 1,000 years old. Oh my god, I shouldn't complain because I know some of you guys out there are older than me. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is it's so good because it really perfectly revitalizes one of my favorite video game series. It breathes new life into it in a way that works. We've seen all of the failures of the series before, like we've seen Tony Hawk Ride. Everybody makes a joke about it. It's the Tony Hawk mobile game. Then there was the Tony Hawk 1 original attempt at like remastering it, and it was not very good. And then we also had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which was very not good. But in a lot of ways, this Tony Hawk 1 and 2 does some of the Tony Hawk 5 things, but in a good way, in the way it should. The fact that it is the original game, but feeling slightly different. So first example is the fact that the game is the Vicarious Visions took the original code base and built off of that. So like a lot of the timings, a lot of the physics are very similar, but for me, the game does feel a little faster, a little more aggressive, and there's a couple of new things you kind of have to get used to. Your timings have to adjust slightly, which I'll get to later, but really what it does, the new kind of level of speed and aggression for everything, coupled with the fact that your muscle memory still works. You can still, if you've played any of these games, you can start immediately and kickflip to a grind and do a grab, no problem. So couple that muscle memory returning with the faster, weightier aggressiveness of it. It makes me want to strive harder. Every time I find myself playing, I find myself going more and more crazy, seeing how many moves I can fit into frames or different heights of air. And I found that incredibly addictive, like a new level of addiction for this series. Me just constantly trying to, see this new gameplay engine and see how far I can push it, how hard I can try and learn and master things. And that's been half the fun. The other half, of course, is just all of the levels lovingly brought back. It's really fun to dive into them again and just knock out all of those objectives. It's just how it should be. It's just a fun, simple gameplay loop, and it makes you want to do one more retry. Okay, one more. And then like an hour goes by because you're trying to, get the letters skate or find the secret tape or whatever. Some of it for me, I found a lot of it very easy. A lot of it was a total cakewalk, but there were a couple of parts that still really were a big pain in the ass, and I appreciate that. I will say it all does feel a little less like raw and edgy compared to the original games. I don't really know how else to describe that. There was just kind of like this grit to the old thing that's a little bit more tame now. There's still random things in the game, like when you get hit by a taxi driver, they curse and yell at you. But still, a lot of those references were there, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that Officer Dick is in the game. I've been having fun just kind of hunting down the alien plushies and stuff. Just the new level. Also, the new level of challenges they tack on everything is the other level of addiction I've found myself just really enjoying playing. The veteran challenges, the rookie challenges, it's just more things, more stats that the game tracks, more lists for you to check off. And in a game series like this, I think it's good because it pushes you to go outside your comfort zone. Like, oh, I don't do a lot of vert. Okay, I want to knock off these challenges, so let me get back into vert. Let me do some spins. Let me do some big old flippy doos. That shit is so good, and that adds a great extra level to it. Not to mention the multiplayer. The multiplayer is another thing that's kind of like Tony Hawk 5. They definitely tried, and there's like little like you're in a lobby skating around, and then a game mode happens. But here, it's simple, it's streamlined. I hope there's going to be more options down the line in terms of like custom lobbies and stuff, but for what it is, I found it to be pretty effective, and I kept jumping in here and there just to kind of test my skills against other people because I have a very low self-esteem. I could talk about this game forever, really. One thing that kind of disappointed me a little bit was the character creator, the custom create skater stuff. In the series, but by like 3, 4, and then Underground, like things got crazy. The amount of things you could do to create a skater were wild, so I was hoping that the game would kind of live up to that. It kind of went back to the beginning, and it's very scaled down, pre-selected faces, just a couple of outfits and stuff, and then there's more outfits you can unlock. There's definitely a lot of outfits, but not really. You can't give yourself a big nose. You can't make yourself fat or skinny or muscular, stuff like that. You can't make your skin green. I can't make Shrek in the game. It's bullshit. I used to have a lot of fun making characters. I used to make like Freddy Krueger. I remember making the Hulk. I remember making Agent 47. Like, there was so much you could mess around with in the older games. Maybe we'll get that if they remake Tony Hawk Underground, to which do it, please. But I did appreciate the other stuff around it, like the skate culture and the clothing and all of that. Like, there are sneakers in the game that are sneakers that I wear. The amount of boards and options to choose from, wheels and trucks, are very good. In fact, I was able to give myself the board that I had as a teenager, the Element board, which that's kind of cool. Little things like that really make me happy, but I think what is cool is the introduction of the new skaters compared to the old roster, which they made them look old. So now you have the young and old generation, and you have just that. You have new skateboarding brands, new clothing brands, new music. Like, it reflects the newer culture, the newer generation of skating a bit more, while not leaving the old shit in the dust, because it's technically not that old. Like, that wasn't that long ago. So there's like a good mix, and the music, I think, does a really good job with that. Everybody's picky with music. I don't really talk about my music taste that much on video. I don't know why. Probably because I really like Dashboard Confessional and Jay-Z. But the music is a big part of it, like, for like obviously like the culture thing and just how big of an impact Tony Hawk and the games had for music and skateboarding at the time. But I think the new choices are really good. They fit right in with the old stuff. There's some new music in here that I really enjoyed. And then I went, let me look that up, and discovered new music, just how it worked many years ago with the previous games. And I think that's a good thing. And then maybe hopefully younger people who are playing this are like, oh, what song is that? And then they look it up and they go, oh, that's Public Enemy. Oh, that's Tech 9. Oh, that's A Tribe Called Quest. That's a win. A lot of people have been talking shit at me with like, oh, Skate is better. I don't think so. Sorry. I mean, this is nostalgia. This is one of my favorite series, but they're two different things. I think to compare them is wrong. We want more skateboard games with Skater XL, Session, all that type of stuff. I don't care how they play. They all play differently, and they all should. I'm just glad they're here. Tony Hawk is incredibly over the top and arcadey. I can do 2 backflips in the air while also kickflipping and do like weird shit and be a skeleton. Skate is really fun in terms of precision, how you use the analog stick, how it embraces real skateboarding. That doesn't make one better than the other. It's just personal preference. It's like, do you like Crazy Taxi, or do you like the high realistic precision of Gran Turismo? They're both great. Anyway, I digress. Now I guess that leads me to some tips and tricks I do want to share with you guys, because I put out the before you buy video, and a lot of people were like, wow, you could do that, or you could do that. And I thought that was interesting. And I've seen a lot of other, I'm not throwing shade at all, but I've seen some other like YouTubers and Twitch streamers out there play. And there's like a traditional style of play and being good. And then there's kind of like the embracing the newer mechanics type of play to really get things up. So I'm not saying I'm like a master at Tony Hawk. I'm not this esports player. I'm not doing 1,000,000-point combos with my eyes closed. I'm not, but in terms of me giving you tips to maybe beat your friend at graffiti or skate or a trick attack, whatever, maybe this can help. Because I'm surprised there's a lot of things that people don't seem to realize because they didn't play the later games and the stuff that carries over here. A lot of people, mainstream folks, just played 1 and 2 or 1, 2, and 3, and that's all they know, and that's all they play in this game, but there's a bit more. So first things first, obviously, know the map. This one's super obvious, but it helps with your score. Knowing those gaps can amplify your score. So going around a map and making sure to hit multiple gaps that you know of in a combo will really help you out. Also, with knowing the maps, if I'm talking about gaps too, also embrace the spine transfer. Something that was introduced after Tony Hawk 2 is incredibly important to transfer from one ramp to another or drop into a ramp properly. A lot of the time, those are also gaps, which will also help you out and also just keep you going to another area of the map. That's super key. Also, the biggest thing, and the thing I don't see people do enough, modify. Can you hear me? Modify your tricks. Because the way the score system works, it works on multipliers. So by modifying your tricks and busting new tricks mid-tricks, it adds to that markiplier. It adds to that multiplier, which then helps your score if you land that combo. So you gotta do it. So I'm talking when you're grinding, you're still mashing the grind button in multiple directions to modify that trick. Instead of hitting a vert ramp and hitting right and circle to do a grab trick, double tap that shit to do an even cooler grab trick. Never ever just just do a kickflip. Always be doing at least a double kickflip or a double heel flip, or even a 360 shove it by double mashing the square button or triple mashing the square button if you're nasty. That is something you should always be doing, just because, again, you're going for the best score possible. And if you're playing with your friend and maybe you're doing graffiti and you're tagging that area with a grind or a combo, you want that combo to be insane. So you want to make it so that other graffiti person can't beat it and get that color. Also, another thing, you got to keep your momentum going, especially because some of these levels aren't quite totally perfectly designed for the newer level of combo system stuff. So wall plant out of everything. Learn and embrace the wall plant. Wall plant is going towards a wall, hitting forward and jump, and you will kind of jump off of that wall. Practice it, know it, use it at all times, because there is going to be a point where you're in the middle of a nasty combo and then you're just going to find yourself going into a corner. Get yourself out of that shit, keep it going, and dominate. Also, when you go to start something, never just jump and do something. You should always do a boneless and do something. Add to that score just that little tiny bit. Just an extra tap of the forward button before you jump will do it. Which also leads me to another point, pop out of everything. This is something that you can also do in skate in a way, and also just if you watch skateboarding videos, try and think like that. Even though this is a very arcadey, over-the-top, ridiculous game where you can do backflips, pop out of everything. So if you are grinding, when you jump off of that grind, or maybe you jump to another grind, there should be a kickflip in between that. Anytime you're manualing from one place to another, if you can, before you jump onto, say, a rail or something next, kickflip there too. Again, it's all about adding to the multiplier. And when you are getting that crazy and when you are getting that aggressive, be sure to really change it up. Manual, then do a manual trick in that manual, then grind. You should also always kind of be moving around and jumping around from thing to thing to kind of save yourself from the dreaded balance meter. Things start getting a little messy, get away from that grind, do a manual. Manual's getting a little messy, find a ramp, do an air trick. Do shit like that. And then when all else fails, if your combo loses steam or your speed loses steam and you're in the middle of a wide open empty area, just spam those manual tricks. It's always a really good way to add to your score. It's like a little bit like cheap bullshit. My friends and I used to always just see who could hold the longest handstand, but do it. It works. Also, pay attention to jumping. This is really specifically I've noticed with this new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. At first, it might feel very much like there is not a lot of height, you know, to your jumps and stuff on vert ramps. You really got to pay attention and really hit that jump button right at the tippy top of the vert. That is for you to get maximum height. That's kind of always been a thing, I think, but here it's been the most notable for me. So really pay attention to those jumps. Also, this is another stupid one, but this is a special one. The music helps. So the thing where you can just kind of skip the track with the right stick, I think is really nifty, and it's a good way to skip around to a song that will make you play better. This is just my personal belief. Call me superstitious. I play better when there's a song playing that I really like. Now, I like most of the soundtrack quite a bit, but there's those couple of songs that really fucking get you going. The obvious ones like Superman, Goldfinger. Then there's Rage Against the Machine, of course. Police Truck by Dead Kennedys is also another one I'm super into. But there's specific ones from. I'd love to hear yours in the comments. Like if you guys got a song that gets you going, it makes you get better combos, go bigger, stuff like that. For me, the biggest one is You by Bad Religion. It just gets me hyped. It's part nostalgia for the old games. Yes, definitely, but it just works for me. Also, the Sublime songs. I'm happy that there's more than one here. I'm glad they did that. Yes, I am one of those Sublime people. That Suicide Machine song is really good. Tribe Called Quest. And then, of course, Beast, How Low Can You Go? I love Chuck D. I'm sorry. I mean, Public Enemy's great, but I love Chuck D. Don't be afraid to get weird. Get a little, cerebral with it, because the music does help you do better. I think music is a good point to end. The only other thing I want to say is what's next for the series. This is clearly probably a big seller. It's not even a full price game, but it's banking on both nostalgia and newcomers, and it's probably going to sell really, really well. So I'm curious to see, like, if this is the first amp up, the first revitalization of the series, what happens now? When is Activision going to screw it up? I really hope next they venture into something bigger, maybe a new Thug game. I don't think they can really totally remake Thug, even though I suggested that earlier. It's a weird thing that exists in a weird time and would be cringy now. I would love for them to take that style of game, that story, that adventure, and make a new Thug with it. I've also been playing forever thanks to Thug Pro. Shout out to that lovely PC community for basically creating that, giving me that, keeping them skills fresh, you know what I mean? So I want to talk to you guys really. I want to hear two things. Number one, what's your favorite song? What's the song that really gets you amped like I talked about? What's the thing that makes you skate better? And number two, what do you think's next? What do you want from Tony Hawk games after this? I'm in this weird spot where I can live with this till I die. I can play this forever, man. This is good shit. It scratches all the notes. The nostalgia, the competitive edge in me, the precision, all of it. But thank you for your patience with this video, waiting for this video after the weekend. I just wanted to play it more, and thank you for coming over here. I always say this, but like, you could have clicked on a bunch of other YouTubers talking about this game. You chose me. Thank you for that. I love this. So I want to hear from you guys. Like I said, liking the video helps me out, but anything else, of course, let me know in the comments. And also, if you want to just yell at me directly, Twitter and Instagram, @JakeBaldino. I'll see you guys any of those places, but thank you for being here. You can subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.